2,000 players. That is the number that a recent Shadowverse Evolve Grand Prix hit in Japan, and it is not an outlier. The events in Japan routinely hit between 1 to 2,000 players, and that is an impressive number that I think could definitely make it over here to the West for the Shadowverse Evolve English release. Well, I shouldn't just say the West, for all of the areas serviced by Shadowverse Evolve English. So today we're going to be talking about the Shadowverse Evolve Japanese competitive scene and the English Shadowverse Evolve competitive scene, and what the English tournament structure could do better to maybe raise those numbers up to be on par with the Japanese release, because I think the game is fantastic and it really has that potential. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. Hey, if you like the content, if you like the Shadowverse Evolve content, please subscribe, maybe share it around. Let's grow this game to be the best it can possibly be here in the West. So without further ado, let's go to this overlay here. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Japanese competitive circuit. And so it's basically boiled down for the major events into Grand Prix. And this is the first thing I want to talk about, because this is the thing that I want to see most for the English release. I want to see Shadowverse Evolve Grand Prix here in the United States and, everywhere. But specifically, we're going to be talking about the United States because that's where the English scene is currently the biggest. But, anywhere, in Europe, APAC region, everywhere where you do Shadowverse Evolve English. So what they did for this year is they had it broken down by more or less the seasons. So they had spring, summer, autumn, and winter. So you had GP Chiba, Osaka, Chiba again, and then Osaka again. So like back and forth between these two events. And here you can see the most recent one, the 2023 winter at Osaka. This event in particular had over 1,500 players. The one previous, the GP Chiba for autumn, had over 2,000 players, and I highly recommend watching this video here by a different fight, who is a Cardfight Vanguard YouTuber, but he also is one of the official Shadowverse Evolve English ambassadors. He recounts his whole experience at GP Chiba with over 2,000 players. It's really cool, really interesting. He talks about all of his matchups. There's interviews. I highly recommend it. I'm not going to show too much of it, but it is a great video. And if you want to get the Shadowverse Evolve competitive atmosphere, this is the video for it. So I'll have a link in the description down below. But I just wanted to point this video out and highlight it. One, because Different Fight does great content, but also because I think it really encapsulates what I'm trying to say here, and it'll show you better than me just being like, yo, it's a thing. But hey, yo, it's a thing, because here is the recap. This one actually is not for the Chiba event. So this is for the Chiba event that Different Fight did. This one is for the Winter Osaka event. And they say here, you can even see the picture, there are exactly 1,656 players from 552 teams participated in this event. Look at this turnout. This is insane. I just, as someone, not just getting into it, I've been supporting Shadowverse Evolve English since launch, but someone who's very passionate about this game, who genuinely loves it. This is something that I just want to see. I want to see events here in the US where I can go to this and just have a blast, because it's so much fun. And so here's the whole recap. This is actually auto-translated from Japanese, but it is on the official Shadowverse Evolve website, sve/gp.com or -gp.com. But I'm not going to read the whole thing here for verbatim. This is just kind of like highlighting the event and showing you what's possible. They also had a casual event. You can just match and play casual games immediately. Super cool. There's like side events as you'd come to expect. Different Fight talks about that in his video, like side events and that kind of stuff. But yeah, super cool, very awesome. And I just kind of want to highlight all of this, because this is what I'm hoping for here in the West. And that's why, once again, GPs, let's get some GPs here in the United States. We'll talk about the current circuit and what they have and haven't announced for 2024, and at least one event that I will be going to that is part of the current season. But yeah, very cool. Also, I love how they like highlight these decks here. I do believe these are like the winning decks. So cool. Like you get your deck like framed up, and oh, it's just awesome. So yeah, recommend reading that if you'd like to take a look at that. But here you can see they have, once again, 4 per year. I would love to see a similar structure for English, you know, 1 big GP every season. And let's take a look at what they are currently doing. So here we have the official, this is the English website, the en.shadowverse-evolve.com. And here is the current structure. So they started out pretty slow, and that's pretty understandable because there's only currently 2 sets out. Uma Musume is just about to release. And so they kind of approached it at a tempered speed. And I think that makes a lot of sense, right? You don't want to, you know, try to throw like a 2,000 player event when the game just came out and you have like 100 people show up, right? So that does make sense. But as the game grows and as it does well, and sales-wise, it's doing very, very well. It's selling out like across the board. A lot of places are selling out. And I do want to mention right now here, if it's not selling out in your region, that's because trading card games, just by nature, are a very regional thing. Something that's popular in your area might not be popular in another area. I know some areas, Weiss Schwarz is super popular. In other areas, no one even knows what Weiss Schwarz is. And then the same thing is true for like Flesh and Blood, and even games like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! There are areas where tons of people play Yu-Gi-Oh! And then areas where tons of people don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! So if Shadowverse isn't one of the, if your area isn't one of the places that play Shadowverse, hey, maybe that's a good opportunity to promote it a little bit, go to your LGS, try to get people to play, especially people who are into anime style stuff. And yeah, just great. So anyway, let's actually talk about this. Let's actually dive into this here. So it's basically broken down into a couple different style events. There's shop tournaments, there's championship program, and then they also have regionals, and then you have qualifiers, and then you also have the world championship. So let's kind of like take a look at this in a little bit more detail. So let's talk about the World Invitational, because I think that's the biggest one here. Yeah, you have your shop events. That's pretty standard stuff. But currently the biggest event is the Shadowverse Evolve World Invitational. This has not happened yet. In fact, you still have opportunities to qualify for this event. So if you like Shadowverse Evolve, I'm telling you now, you have opportunities to qualify for this event. And that is one of the things that I will be attending, is one of these qualifying events. So once again, I'm not going to break it. I'm not going to read everything exactly for verbatim here, but they have kind of like a structure where you do your shop qualifiers, you do your regional qualifier, and then you do your world finals. This is the initial strategy, but they have listened to feedback and have added additional tournaments to accommodate. So this is how it was initially structured. You do your shop qualifier, you win. You go to your regional qualifier, you win, and then you get invited to the World Finals. There's only going to be about 30 to 60 people at the World Finals in Tokyo, which is really, really cool. So it's going to be a much smaller event. It's going to be, you know, invitational only. You have to, you know, proceed through here. And I do believe the people who win regionals get a free paid trip to Tokyo to compete, which is really, really cool. Paid trip to Japan is incredibly awesome. But there's one thing that I want to mention in particular. We'll talk about the World Finals, but I really want to talk about these. This is what I'll be attending. This is the last chance qualifiers. And it says players who participate in a last chance qualifier stand a chance to win a sponsored trip to the World Finals in Tokyo, Japan. The top 3 players of each LCQ will qualify for the World Finals, with the champion also having their trip sponsored. So top 3 get an invite, and then the first player, or first place player gets a sponsored trip to Japan. And then free fight side events will be held alongside the main tournaments for anyone who wants to participate. And then the qualifiers will run November to January, November 2023 to January 2024. And I'll tell you which one that I will be going to here. So these are the schedule. I'm sorry, like the website's flying around here. So I'll be attending one of the ones here. So we have one of them in Mexico. There's one in Houston, Texas, but I will be personally attending the one in San Gabriel, California on January 20th. I will be there playing in the event and also participating, filming a vlog, kind of in more of like a press kind of role. I mean, even have like a fancy little press badge and all that kind of stuff. But yes, I will be there playing in the event, and it will be a lot of fun. Very much looking forward to it. And if you are a big Shadowverse fan and you want to, compete at the highest level, you want to get there, get to Worlds, this is a good opportunity to attend any of these, because none of these have happened yet. The one in Mexico City is December 10th. The one in Houston is January 13th. And the one in California is January 20th. But there's more. There's some in Europe. We have one in Germany. We have one in the UK. These both happen in January. And then we also have some in the Asia and Oceania regions. We have one in Jakarta, one in Singapore, and one in Sydney. These all range from December into January. So you still have your opportunity to attend these events and then get invited to the Worlds in Japan. There also is anyone who participates gets this promo card. I do believe entry to these events, by the way, you don't have to pay. I don't think you have to pay to get into these events. That's what I have heard from Bushiroad. So that is what I am going to assume across the board. At least the one that I'm going to, they're like, no, there's no entry fee. So yeah, so you could just, as long as you, can fly there and, afford your hotel, you can go there. You'll even get a free promo card here, which is Demonic Strike, which is a great card, actually. And then also, if you top 8, you get also additional prizing. So the first place gets a sponsored invitational to Worlds. You also get a placement certificate and a top 8 playmat. Second and third get a non-sponsored invitation to Worlds, as well as a playmat and a placement certificate. And then 4th to 8th also get this beautiful Gabriel top 8 playmat. Free fight. Anyone who have played 4 or more matches in like the kind of like casual free fight will get one of these Angelic Barrage promos for free. Pretty sweet. I actually have Japanese versions of those over here. Hold on. I'm gonna get off to show my Shadowverse swag here. Check it out. I got the Japanese versions. They're cool. This one's the Barrage, and this one's the Angelic Snipe. Anyway, back to the overlay. And it says to participate in these events, you'll need to register for the tournament in advance using the Bushi Nav app, and then there's like links here. So basically, this is how the structure is currently, and it all culminates at the World Finals. Here is the World Finals. And so the World Finals is, World Invitational 2023. The cream of the crop will be assembling at the World Finals in Tokyo, Japan. Prove your mettle and be crowned the first ever Shadowverse Evolve English Edition World Champion. That's actually that's a pretty cool thing. This is the first event. Currently, there's not a ton of players playing, at least compared to the Japanese release. So this is a good chance to compete and to become the very first Shadowverse Evolve English World Champion. That's just such a cool thing. That's like a badge of honor, right? The event will be live streamed on Twitch, so if you can't make it to the event or don't qualify, you'll still be able to catch all the action. So that is really, really cool. And the World Finals will be held in Akihabara in Tokyo, which is just so cool. Like going to the World Finals of an anime card game taking place in Akihabara is just, it's so cool. And here's some prizes for Worlds participation. You get these beautiful Crystalia Tia promos. Participants will also get a playmat, which is gorgeous. This is Alice. She'll be in set 3, I think, is when we'll see our first Alice card. And then top 8 will get more promos, additional copy of the promos. And then second and third, you'll get a trophy. And then fourth, you'll get a placement certificate. And the champion will get a beautiful Alice Wonderland Explorer promo. There's also more, nuts and bolts type stuff here, but that is basically what I wanted to talk about here. So, what the crux of this is, and looping it back to the very first point, is I would like to see Grand Prix come to the West. I would like to see Grand Prix for Shadowverse Evolve English. That's what I would like to see. I think they're taking some steps in the right direction with the LCQs here, with the last chance qualifiers. And these were added based on feedback from the English player base, right? These were not initially there, and they took player feedback that there weren't enough events and not enough chances to qualify And then they added these events. And so with that in mind, I would really like to see them up their competitive scene in 2024. A lot of players in the West here really live and die by the competitive circuits for these card games. And so I really think that for 2024, having more big events, at least a couple, maybe you don't need all 4 like Japan, that would be ideal, but you know, having more events, just overall like big, you know, competitive events would just be fantastic. Circling it back to this, just you know, having this in the West is what I would love to see. So yeah, please let me know what you think about all this stuff in the comments down below. Do you want some GPs of Shadowverse Evolve here in the West? Are there any other ideas that you could you know give out that could apply to this? You know, discuss in the comments down below. I'd love to read everyone's thoughts on this. Have you been going to your locals shop tournaments or any of the regionals, or any of you actually qualified? I don't know. That'd be cool, because some people are already qualified. All right, and that's going to cap off our discussion of Shadowverse Evolve for this week. Stay tuned next week for a deep dive into the Uma Musume first collaboration set. I'm actually pretty excited for it. I don't really know a ton about Uma Musume, so we're gonna do like a deep dive, kind of go into what Uma Musume is, the mechanics of the set, how it kind of gels with itself, and how it works with other crafts currently in Shadowverse Evolve. We're just gonna be doing like a nice fun little Uma Musume dive, and then after that we'll be doing some deck techs and hopefully some gameplay if I can round some friends up to play with me. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Like I said, you know, like, comment, subscribe. It really helps. Maybe share this video around, and let's help make Shadowverse Evolve the biggest it can possibly be in the West. Let's rival the Japanese scene. I think that would be really cool. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.